Just when you thought the public indoctrination system, the public education system couldn't get any worse, well, we have this story that is headlined, "Parents Say Second Grade Teacher Tried to Convince Their Son, 8 years old, that he was transgendered. Quote, he feels different now. He feels confused." This is a crazy, crazy story. Fox 12 Oregon definitely has a misleading headline. Their headline reads here, Woodburn parents sue school district for $1 million. That's somehow the lead for him. Alleged teacher asked son if he's transgender. No. Fox 12 Oregon. This is definitely not the case here. Not what the parents are. Again, it's not just that the teacher asked if he was transgendered. We're getting information that this teacher gave the students private transgender lessons, took him out of scheduled courses that he was supposed to be in, took him out, and then tried to convince this child that he was possibly a transgender. Why? Why would this happen? Well, it turns out that this kid had a medical condition, something related to gas, which made him use the facility bathrooms, which was orchestrated and organized by the parents. The parents came to the school and said, hey, my son has a medical issue. He needs to use your facility bathrooms. The school obliged. The teacher didn't know about this and said, oh, this kid is using a facility bathroom. He must be transgendered. Took the kid separate away from where he was supposed to be. Took him away from recess. 8 years old here. 8 years old, and started giving him and teaching him and doing all sorts of other things that we probably don't even know about. But again, the parents only found out when the child started bringing home some of the materials that this teacher was giving to him, publicly available. Now the kid's being prescribed anti-anxiety medications. He's seeing a counselor. He's saying he's suffering from stress, anxiety, depression, and has to take, this is what even the parents are going through. And the child is even saying that he's afraid to play with toys since he thinks he's going to be a girl if he plays with toys that are kids. And the parents here, they're not who you think they are. They actually have a comment here. But really, this clip here puts everything in perspective, Jason. Do you want to introduce it? Do you want to play it here? Because this is, to me, I don't know why people don't say grooming here, because this is essentially grooming a child to be transgendered, which is absolutely insane at the age of 8. And again, I have to say that this is my opinion because this is somehow controversial to even say now, Jason.
Yeah, an 8-year-old, somebody that's in, I believe, the second grade, possibly the third grade, and you're talking to him about something that's very sexual, in my opinion. I think they nailed it, actually, with this local news piece. So let's just go right to it.
But again, one another thing, this kid hasn't reached puberty yet. That's another aspect. Let's keep going.
A mother and father are suing a school district for nearly $1 million after they say a second grade teacher singled out their 8-year-old son, asking him if he's transgender. The parents tell us that teacher then taught inappropriate lessons right at school, ones they had no idea about. Fox 12's Bonnie Silkman is live in studio with us tonight, and she's hearing from the parents of that little boy tonight as well.
Before we hear from the parents, think about that. This is a teacher conducting classes on one individual the school is completely unaware of in their own facilities. Of course they should be held accountable. It's not like this was an after-school program or outside of their jurisdiction. This was taking place.
Yeah, the teacher's taking this kid out where he's supposed to be, taking him out of lunch and recess, sitting them down, and then what these people allege are pushing this kid to be trans. This is insane. Let's keep it going.
Bonnie?
The school response
Liz,
is
good
even
evening.
crazier.
Those parents in Woodburn tell me their 8-year-old was held back from recess multiple times for one-on-one conversations about his gender identity. They say they had no idea about this. Now, to protect their son's privacy, the mom and dad do not want to share their identities, so off camera tonight and with disguised voices, they're sharing their son's story.
He feels different now. He feels confused.
With their voices disguised and their identity concealed.
To hear your son say that on a couch, talking to a therapist, holding back his tears, is very heartbreaking.
A mother and father want to shine a light on the secret lessons that they say were...
This kid's damaged. This kid, the parents are describing this kid sitting in a counselor crying, talking about what happened to him. This is abuse. This teacher abused him. This kid is crying from it. I don't think he's making this up. I don't think it's justified because this is an extremely unusual case of trying to bring in sex to an 8-year-old that still hasn't reached puberty. This child, this infant still hasn't decided, still hasn't sexually even developed. And the teacher's like, hey, you could be trans. Because this kid has a gas problem and has to use a facility bathroom. This is sick and crazy. Let's keep it going.
Taking place at this school. One-on-one conversations about being transgender between their 8-year-old son and his 2nd grade teacher.
She should have notified us if that was the case, if he did say he felt like a girl.
The parents say that teacher in Woodburn asked their son if he thought he was a girl. They say she held him back from recess several times to watch videos and read these books about being transgender. Books the parents say that teacher got from one of her transgender friends.
So let me stop it there. You know, obviously this woman is pro-transgender, has a transgender friend, and even brought in material from that person that was outside of the curriculum at that school. All of this took place at that school. The parents were never informed of any of this. The school should be ashamed. They should be held accountable. And what's even more alarming, Luke, is they acknowledge all this, and this woman still has her job.
Yeah, it still has her job. And their response is like, oh, it would have been okay in Portland. And no one would have cared in Portland. Like, how is that an argument? This person is still teaching. This child has to see a counselor and has massive anxiety, can't even play with kids. He's crying, describing what this teacher did to him. And the school board here is still allowing this to happen. This is, I don't want to curse. This is insane. Let's keep it going, man.
He came home Friday with the books in his backpack.
The parents say they had no idea these conversations were taking place and that teacher crossed a huge line, taking away their rights as parents, especially on such a personal matter.
Well, still today, a year later, he still feels if he plays with my niece, he's a girl at that moment. If he plays with my nephew, now he's being a boy.
The mother says her son is left confused and hurt after being singled out. Now, a year later, the 9-year-old, she says, is taking anxiety medication and going to therapy.
Let me just stop it there. You know, the therapy stuff, I wish they weren't giving their kid anxiety medication. I don't think that medicating somebody for mental issues, especially at 8 when the brain is developing at such a rapid pace, is the right idea. It's the one criticism I would have here at the parents. But when you're thrown into this situation, it's pretty crazy. I mean, what do you do? Think about what they just said. A year later, when he plays with my niece, he thinks he's a girl. And when he plays with a little boy, he thinks he's a boy. And I can tell you right now, I played with little boys and girls, cousins of mine as a kid, and at no point was I confused as to my gender.
Yeah, but this is the culture now. This is what's discussed in the culture. This is what even is being discussed, whether in California, they're going to have gender discussions in kindergartens. This is what's on the TV. This is what parents are told. This is normal. This is fine. No, these are kids. They're not allowed to drive. They're not allowed to smoke. They're not allowed to drink. Why? Well, their brain is still developing. You see the negative consequences with other sexualized topics like pornography, changing the neural synapses of children because of how publicly readily available it is, free out there with anyone with just internet connection. We're having, and then why? Why would you introduce more sexualized topics to an 8-year-old? Like, this is, again, just totally just downstream of culture, toxic, cancerous insanity that's creating so many problems. And how this teacher is still teaching, it's just insane. Do you want to play the rest of that?
Yep.
Dad is suffering from panic attacks and mom is now staying home from work.
He can be whatever he wants. I don't care what he is. I want him to be my happy son, and I feel like she messed that up.
The parents say that teacher still works at this school, even after the school sent out this letter. It says that evidence was found that the teacher did pull the student from regular school activities, shared potentially controversial materials with the boy, and did discuss gender identity without parents' notification.
It just frustrates me that my son can be influenced that drastically and nothing be done about it. They just wanted to sweep it under the rug.
Well, I'm glad that they're not getting to sweep it under the rug, Luke. I am hoping that this verdict does find in favor of them, because this is outright child abuse, and it's done in a public school where we entrust these school officials with our children every weekday. You know, more than half of the year they spend with these people. And this is a nightmare scenario if anything like this was ever brought to my attention about my nieces.
Yeah. Being in Brooklyn, growing up in public school, this is how I learned to understand that government is never the answer. All right, some people go to the post office and they're like, wow, this government sucks. No, you go to the public school system, especially in inner cities like New York City and Brooklyn, like the stuff that I saw, the stuff that I went through, trauma that I had to endure, the insanity by some of these teachers and the abuse by some of these teachers. Holy cow, you really, I mean, maybe I have a localized experience myself, but that's the first time I started looking at systems and centralized systems like the school district system and the government system, and started thinking like, this is absolute insanity. This is not education. This is indoctrination. This is total propaganda. This is totally usurping the will, training you to be essentially a good slave so you can work a good factory job. That's literally what the education system is, helped, provided, and pushed for by, of course, the Rockefellers and other big barons who brought in the education system that bring us towards this latest cultural insanity where a teacher thinks it's somehow okay to select a kid because he's using a special bathroom and try to push that this kid is transgender, pushing their agenda on him. It's absolutely insanity. This teacher deserves to be in jail. That's a strong statement to say the least, but I mean, the kid obviously here has been affected, has been negatively affected, and will most likely be continued to be negatively affected, as already we are seeing the horrible ramifications of all this. I don't think it's an over exaggeration. What do you guys think? What do you think should be the right answer here? What should be done in this scenario? Because I'm at my wit's end to try to justify any kind of rational action on this, because this is just, in my opinion, just absolutely insane. And again, the parents themselves said, like, I don't care what he decides to be or who he decides to be. That's his choice. But to be coerced, to be manipulated, that's the issue here. That's the problem here that does need to be addressed, Jason.
Yeah, once again, I think that there's a form of child abuse, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility or probability that this person should have been criminally prosecuted. I see this as child abuse. I don't think that's an extreme statement at all. I don't want my 8, 9, 10-year-old being sexualized in any manner or having to discuss gender identities, transsexuals, or anything of the like. When the time comes for that, I hope that I will have the conversation with them, and it will not be left up to the school system. That being said, guys, we are doing 4 videos a day across 2 separate platforms, News for a Change and We Are Change. Make sure you're subscribed to both and ringing that bell for notifications, sharing this stuff on social media, but most importantly, getting out there and being the change you want to see in the world.